There's a kind of pain no one prepares you for. Not the pain you can point to. Not the pain that gets sympathy. The quiet kind. The kind you carry while still showing up. Still working. Still smiling when people ask, "You okay?" And you nod. Because explaining it feels heavier than carrying it. Pain like that doesn't announce itself. It settles in slowly. In the chest. In the silence after conversations. In the moments where something feels different, but you can't explain why. Most people want pain to leave as quickly as it arrives. They ask, "How do I get rid of this? Why is this happening to me?" But almost no one asks the question that changes everything. What is this pain trying to teach me? We live in a world that treats pain like a mistake. Something to fix. Something to distract from. Something to medicate, ignore, or rush past. So when pain shows up, we panic. We assume something is wrong with us. That we failed. That we took a wrong turn in life. But pain doesn't show up randomly. It arrives when something inside you can no longer be ignored. A boundary you didn't protect. A truth you avoided. A version of yourself you've outgrown. Pain is often the first honest signal you receive. Yet most people fight it. They ask for motivation when they need understanding. They chase positivity when they need permission to feel. They numb the discomfort instead of listening to it. And because of that, pain stays longer than it has to. Not to punish you, but to be heard. Here's the shift that changes how you see everything. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. It tells you where you're misaligned, where you're holding on too tightly, where something needs to change. Think about it. Physical pain protects you. It tells you when something is wrong before real damage happens. Emotional pain works the same way. It shows you where your life no longer matches your inner truth. Ignoring pain doesn't make you strong. Listening to it does. And strength isn't the absence of pain. It's the ability to learn from it without letting it harden you. The first thing pain teaches you is awareness. Pain slows you down. It forces you to look inward. It removes distractions whether you want it to or not. That's why growth so often follows discomfort. Not because pain is good, but because it's honest. When life is comfortable, we don't question much. When pain arrives, questions appear naturally. Why does this hurt? What am I avoiding? What needs to change? Pain is the moment your inner world demands attention. And if you listen carefully, it doesn't just tell you what hurts. It tells you what matters. If you're in pain right now, I want you to hear this. You're not weak for feeling it. You're not failing because you're struggling. And you're not broken because something inside you hurts. Pain doesn't mean you're losing. It often means you're growing. But growth doesn't feel inspiring when you're in it. It feels confusing. It feels lonely. It feels unfair. And still, you're here. That matters more than you think. Imagine a version of you who doesn't run from pain. Not someone who enjoys it, but someone who understands it. Someone who asks, "What is this trying to show me?" Instead of, "How do I escape this?" That version of you doesn't collapse under difficulty. They evolve through it. And that evolution begins with listening. You don't need to rush your healing. You don't need to force meaning out of your pain today. Just sit with the idea that pain isn't here to destroy you. It's here to guide you. In the next part, we'll talk about how pain reshapes identity, why it changes people so deeply, and how to learn without becoming bitter. For now, let yourself feel without judgment. That's where the lesson begins. One of the reasons pain feels so overwhelming is because it doesn't just hurt. It changes how you see yourself. Before pain, you had a certain image of who you were, what you could handle, what life was supposed to look like. Pain interrupts that story. Suddenly, things you were sure about feel uncertain. Beliefs you relied on begin to crack. Parts of your identity feel unfamiliar. And that can feel terrifying. Because when pain removes who you thought you were, it creates a space. An empty space. Most people rush to fill it. They harden. They close off. They become bitter, guarded, distant. Not because they want to, but because they're afraid of that empty space. But here's the truth most people miss. That space is where growth happens. Pain strips away what no longer fits so something more honest can emerge. You've probably noticed this. Some people go through pain and become kinder, more grounded, more compassionate. Others become colder, angrier, more closed. Pain itself doesn't decide who you become. Your relationship with it does. Pain asks a question. Will you listen, or will you resist? Resistance turns pain into suffering. Listening turns pain into wisdom. When you fight pain, you tense against it. You replay it. You resent it. When you listen, you soften. You reflect. You learn. The pain may still be there, but it no longer controls you. Pain removes illusions. It shows you what you've been tolerating, what you've been settling for, what you've been pretending doesn't affect you. It exposes unhealthy patterns, unspoken needs, unmet boundaries. Things you ignored when life was comfortable suddenly become impossible to ignore. And that honesty can feel brutal. But it's also liberating. Because once something is seen clearly, it can no longer quietly drain you. Pain doesn't lie. It tells you when something is wrong long before your mind is ready to accept it. If pain has changed you, I want you to know this. You're not weaker for being different now. You're not damaged because you feel more deeply. You're not too much because you notice things others ignore. You've simply seen something. Pain gives you depth. And depth changes the way you move through the world. You may feel out of place at times. More sensitive. More aware. That's not a flaw. That's growth showing itself quietly. Every experience of pain presents a choice. Not a dramatic one. A subtle one. Will you let this make you closed? Or will you let it make you clear? Clear about what you want. Clear about what you deserve. Clear about what you will no longer accept. Pain sharpens discernment. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. You stop pouring energy into what drains you. You start choosing with intention. That's not bitterness. That's wisdom earned. One of the hardest parts about pain is that it doesn't teach on your schedule. Lessons often become clear only in hindsight. At first, pain just hurts. Meaning comes later. So if you're still confused, if you're still hurting, if you don't yet see the lesson, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still inside the experience. Understanding will come when you're ready to hold it. Imagine reaching a point where pain no longer scares you. Not because it doesn't hurt, but because you trust yourself to learn from it. You don't rush healing. You don't numb your emotions. You allow yourself to feel, reflect, and grow. That version of you moves through life with quiet strength. Not reactive. Not hardened. Grounded. Pain no longer defines you. It refines you. You don't need to rush the lesson pain is teaching you. You don't need to have answers yet. Just stay open. In the final part, we'll talk about how to integrate pain without carrying it forever, how to move forward without fear, and how pain becomes wisdom instead of weight. For now, honor where you are. You're not lost. You're learning. One of the biggest fears people have is this. What if this pain stays with me forever? And that fear makes sense. Because you've seen people who never moved on. People who let pain define them. People who carry old wounds into every new moment. But learning from pain doesn't mean carrying it. It means extracting the lesson and releasing the weight. Pain stays heavy when it's misunderstood. It becomes lighter when it's integrated. Integration means you don't deny what happened. You don't minimize it. But you also don't relive it daily. You allow it to inform you, not imprison you. Pain teaches you discernment. Before pain, you often say yes too easily. You tolerate too much. You explain yourself excessively. After pain, something shifts. You become more selective with your energy, more careful with your time, more honest about what drains you. Not because you're closed off, but because you're clear. Pain teaches you where your boundaries are. And boundaries aren't walls. They're clarity. They protect your peace so your growth has space. Many people think healing means forgetting. It doesn't. Healing means remembering without reliving. It means you can think about what happened without your body tensing, without your breath tightening, without your heart racing. The memory remains. The charge fades. That's how you know pain has become wisdom. You don't erase the past. You change your relationship with it. And that changes everything. If you're still carrying pain, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't need to be over it by now. You don't need to rush forgiveness. You don't need to pretend it didn't affect you. Healing is not a performance. It's a quiet internal shift that happens over time. And the fact that you're reflecting, listening, trying to understand, that already means the pain didn't break you. It shaped you. Pain becomes destructive when you live backward. When every decision is filtered through fear. When every relationship is approached with suspicion. When every moment is measured against what hurt before. But pain becomes wisdom when you live forward. You don't forget the lesson. You just stop reopening the wound. You move with awareness instead of fear. With intention instead of defense. That's the balance. Imagine a future version of you who looks back at this pain with gratitude. Not because it was easy. Not because it was fair. But because it taught you who you are. You're calmer now. More grounded. More honest with yourself. You choose differently. You protect your peace. You trust your instincts. Pain no longer feels like something that happened to you. It feels like something that shaped you for what comes next. Here's what I want you to remember. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to wake you up. It strips away illusions. It reveals truth. It forces growth when comfort would have kept you small. You don't need to rush the lesson. You don't need to romanticize the hurt. Just listen. And when you're ready, take what pain taught you and walk forward lighter than before. That's how pain becomes your greatest teacher.